Guys, if you're not buying this particular product for the long term, even for just for your business or even just for your personal collection, you're making a huge mistake. If you're not buying stuff like this or even this, I think you're making a huge mistake. And here's why. Loose packs are probably one of the easiest and cheapest ways to hold on to your favorite sets long term, not only for yourself or even just to sell if you're looking to build up inventory for your vending business or even your online Pokemon card business. I think it's the number one thing that you should probably be doing. And in today's video, we're going to go over all the pack prices over the last 3 generations and kind of see exactly what I mean and why I think this is probably the prime opportunity to be buying this type of product. Let's get into it. Before we get into the video, I just want to say my website, thepokebaron.com, is almost ready to launch. And if you want to be some of the first people to shop on my store, scan the QR code here at the bottom of the screen to sign up and get notified for when we go live. But enough about that. Let's get back to the video. So let's start off with Burning Shadows. So with Burning Shadows, this one was in tons and tons of collection boxes, collector's chests, Pokeball tins, you name it. This set was pretty much in a lot of different products, and the ones that I got the most of for Burning Shadows was the Zamanization collector's chest. It had Burning Shadows, XY Evolutions, also had Primal Clash, sometimes Crimson Invasion, or even a Cosmic Eclipse if you were lucky, along with like some Sword and Shield base, which I ended up buying a ton of these probably all throughout 2024, and I had a lot of this going into 2025 boom. I've been selling some of those off pretty much when I started vending, or even just when I started to consolidate into booster boxes instead. But let's go over it. Like right now, Sun and Moon Burning Shadows, $19 a pack. A little downtrend as of right now, but as to be expected with everything else, right? So high of about 26 bucks. If we go back about a year, you'll be able to see this is about a $12 pack. And if we go back even later, you're talking about sub $8 per pack, well before 2025. This one, there's only one main chase, right? It's the Rainbow Zard. There's some other rainbow full arts like Gardevoir and Darkrai, but those just aren't as desired as that one chase, right? And so that's the only thing holding this thing up. But at the same time, it's a lot older. It's a set that has a really good chase. I sold plenty of packs for around $15 a pack. If they're at $20, people don't mind spending that little bit of money. This is one of the first examples I'm talking about. We're going to go through several different sets and kind of see what other sets I'm talking about and how they adjust to. So let's move into Cosmic Eclipse is one of those I wish I had more of and I wish I got my hands on. I had the decision to buy the booster box of either Evolving Skies or Cosmic Eclipse. I went with Evolving Skies. Probably in retrospect should have gone with Cosmic, but at the same time, they're both up quite a bit. So can't beat myself up too much about it. But again, $64 a pack, not very bad. But obviously compared to a year ago, it's quite the stark difference. I picked up a bunch of these also in these collector's tins before the boom. My pack price was anywhere between $5 and $15. So definitely not that bad. Even earlier in the year, $20 a pack. Now it's about tripled since then. Roughly about like $64 right now is the lowest listed. Market's $59. So this one also has tons and tons of alternate art style cards. We have like the Erica and Vileplume, Blastoise and Piplup if you've never seen it before. We also have the alternate art with all the legendaries on there. We have N with Reshiram and Zekrom. So there's tons of cards in this set that are really, really high value chases, and also some cool trainers. You have like N, one of my favorites, Professor Oak's setup, and also this one, red and blue. So there's tons of cards in this set I think are continuing to do really well long-term for singles, and people are willing to pay to rip something like this. Again, because the booster box are $3,000-$4,000 now. If you bought pretty much any pack from Sun and Moon era that wasn't Team Up, you've come up quite a bit. I mean, again, mine were maybe $5 to $10 for the most part, and that's 6 to 8x my money. I think once we get into the Sword and Shield and Scarlet and Violet era, you're going to kind of see what I'm talking about and why I think loose packs are the best. All right. And then, of course, we get the Team Up, right? Don't really need to go into this in detail very much. $260 a pack. A year ago, I think it was about 50-ish. 75 as far as this chart goes back. I got my sleeved version of it about in maybe fall of 24. It was from a Whatnot game. I got mine for $65 for that one. And then I had the check lane blister with Pikachu and Mimikyu on it. And that one I think I got for also $55. So it's come a long way since, right? And again, even at that price point of $50, look at where you're at now, right? It's $260 plus, and it continues to go up, each passing month. Obviously, right now it's a big boom that we're in, but at the same time, when you look at the best product of that generation, the best set, and you see where the price point is now compared to where it can be, this is one of those sets that this is why I think you can still get into a good price point that's not going to break the bank, and you can still get some really, really good sets for cheaper, and you hold it for years on end, and you're going to see some decent price appreciation. Now, of course, it's not going to be like a booster box, right? Where you're having, hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars in difference, but you're still percentage wise probably seeing some of the same appreciation. But again, that's just me. All right, so let's so that wraps up Sun and Moon. Let's get into the Sword and Shield era. Next is Brilliant Stars. Brilliant Stars is probably one of those sets I've had the most of at any point in time. Like I was showing you earlier, I have 40-ish sleeves left out of like 100 from when I had them pre-boom. They were even on clearance at one point from Best Buy. I bought a bunch of them at that point. I think they got as low as like $3 a pack, if not even less. I'll have to go back and look. But they got really, really cheap, really fast, and not enough people were buying them. I don't understand why. Set's pretty damn good. The biggest chase is another Charizard chase. For a while when these were still in print, there was just a lot out there, and just, Pokemon wasn't as popular as it is now. But even that, even us going through a boom right now, I think $10 is pretty cheap. Now the packs haven't been selling very much since the beginning of the year, as you can kind of see what this graph shows. There's like almost none selling on here, which seems like an error to me, but who knows? We'll look at the sales here in a second. At the beginning of the year, under $6, pretty much nearly MSRP, all the way until about $6 or $7 early last year. Let's look at last sales. You can kind of see here, pretty much since the new year, anywhere between $9 to $10 per pack, which is, it sells consistently. So that graph is a little weird, but as you can kind of see, it sells pretty frequently. Again, another no-brainer. There's the main set and a trainer gallery set, and just kind of going over a few of the hits from this one, right? Obviously we know the alternate art Charizard, that's pretty much a given. You have the RCSV Altar, which is another really good one. And then going through the Trainer gallery, to me his name's Gary, but you have the Trainer galleries with Vaporeon, Jolteon, and Flareon. You have N with Zekrom. You have Houndoom, Sylveon V, which is another really clean one. The Mimikyu, Karen with Umbreon, both the V and the V Max. Right now people just don't really appreciate some of the Sword and Shield sets that are here, especially the ones that have the Trainer gallery, which is crazy to me because all they're thinking about is Fusion Strike and Evolving Skies, and so those continue to climb up. But I think as these sets age, I think a lot of these are going to be easily $40 to $50 because think about it, right? When we went back into even Cosmic Eclipse or Unified Minds, those were $60 to $80 a pack. These sets are arguably way better than those sets, and there's plenty of chases that people are going to want to get over time. And so if you think about a $10 pack now between Astro Radiance and Brilliant Stars, where are they going to be in 5 years? They're probably going to be around $50 to $60 a pack at the cheapest, and that's even before we talk about another boom a few years down the line. So I think this is all a no-brainer. If you can get access to packs, I definitely would recommend doing that. Same thing with Lost Origin. This one's a little bit more. I think this one's leaning toward this one says about 12 here, but lowest listed is about 15 with shipping. And then again, obviously we have the Giratina, we have the Aerodactyl alternate arts, and we have the Trainer gallery for this one as well, which is not as stacked as Astral and Brilliant in my opinion. But you have the Charizard, you have the Gengar, you have the Pikachu V, which I think is pretty solid, and then the Crobat too. So there's a few on here I think that are pretty good. For Lost Origin, the main cards people are going to want are going to be just the Giratina. So, and the Aerodactyl if you're an old head like me. I'm going to go into a special set now. Crown Zenith, probably one of the most fun sets to open just because the amount of hits that you get. And this kind of follows the same thing from the last three sets, right? You have the main set and the subset. This one had the Galarian Gallery, which had 70 additional chase cards, as well as the mainline set. The Lapras, right? You have the Sleepy Mew, we have Deoxys, Solrock, you have Absol, Latias. What else? I mean, Riolu. You had the connecting art that takes place in like the forest. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's like all these right here. I mean, they all connect, right? I mean, that's an awesome piece. Leafeon, Entei, Suicune, right? I mean, Glaceon VMAX, or V-Star, sorry. The Darkrai, the Mewtwo. I mean, it goes on and on and on, and obviously the gold cards as well, right? I mean, this is probably one of the most stacked sets. And if you don't think that this is going to be a $50 to $60 pack in a few years, you've lost your damn mind. $16 a pack, like we just talked about, right? Unified Minds, Cosmic Eclipse, Unbroken Bonds, all those sets do not have as nearly as many hits as any of these last 4 sets we just talked about. And all the ones that we're talking about, this is the most expensive, $15. It is easily going to be a $60 to $80 pack years down the line. I think maybe as early as 3 to 5 years from now. And the rip and ships is why this pack price is getting so high, because it was such a popular set to open and it was so cheap at the time that people were making a killing off of it. But early in the year, sub $10, finally crossed $10 in the summertime, and then it just continues to go up, continues to sell. If you know Crown Zenith, if you ever opened it, it's never been really good to me. I never pulled any gold cards, but it's a lot of fun. Well, let's get into Fusion Strike. So these next 2 sets don't have a subset. So they don't have a trainer gallery. There's no Galarian gallery. It's just the mainline set. The main chases on this one, obviously the Gengar. You have the Espeon, and probably one of my favorites, the Celebi. Celebi is really cool. I think it's a sub $100 card. Another good example of just one of those sets that are just over time is going to continue to appreciate. I personally think long term, the sets that have the trainer galleries or the Galarian galleries are going to do better than Fusion Strike, but that remains to be seen. And just because the 2 chases in Sword and Shield are that Gengar and Espeon, and they're like $400 to $1,000 between the 2 of them, I think this one's still going to stay ahead just for that reason. $15 a pack, even at this price point. People buy them from me all the time. They rip them at my table. They sell easily. So again, don't be afraid to buy loose packs. The people that say they're at high risk for tampering, I mean, they're not wrong, but if you're not a scumbag and you don't buy from scummy sellers, you're going to be just fine. Just if you decide to pick up a lot of this stuff, just check the packs ahead of time. That's it. Now we get to Evolving Skies. I had maybe almost 180 packs at one point before the boom, which in retrospect kind of sucks that I sold them all, but it helps me get my booster box. Was honestly a good call for me, but I wish I still had some of those packs. Not a crazy chart to look at. Beginning of the year, about $20 a pack. I mean, it rose to like 30 at the end of the summertime, and now it just continues to climb. Obviously, this one doesn't need any real discussion. You have all of the evolutions, right? You have the Dragonite, Altar, and obviously this is going to be the best set of the generation. If we compare that to what we just looked at earlier, Team Up is $260. This is $36. There's a $230 difference between the 2. That's about 7 times the difference in price between the 2 of them. Where do you think that's going to go over time? It's probably gonna end up reaching those prices years from now. Even at $36 a pack, I mean, where is it going to be later down the line? Keep that in mind. And then now we'll get into the last of it. This is where I go back and forth and trying to figure out where I want to be buying stuff. Paldea Evolved, $12 a pack. Astral Radiance, Brilliant Stars, Lost Origin are all at or under Paldea Evolved. So now you have to decide, okay, well, which one's probably the more valuable one long term? Now with Paldea Evolved, they obviously have like the Raichu, the Magikarp are going to be probably the biggest chases, but they also have some smaller ones like Rigatito, Heracross, Pyroar, Fuecoco, Meryl, Quaxley, Gothorita, Tinkatink is another one on here. The Sudowoodo is really cool. The Tyranitar is on here. Paldean Wooper. You know, I mean, they have a lot of good illustration rares on here, as well as a few decent trainers, and also the special illustration rares too. The Iona was a very popular one for a long time. So for me personally, I would probably end up getting more Sword and Shield instead of Paldea Evolved, but it really kind of depends on the availability in your area. You might still be able to find Sword and Shield 10s for retail price if you're lucky, but Paldea Evolved is nearing the end of its print cycle. It hasn't been in any of the holiday bundles that's been coming out, so if you can find product that have Paldea Evolved in it, I highly suggest go ahead and get it, because you could probably still get lucky and find it at retail price compared. But if you're going to be buying it at $12 a pack, I think the Sword and Shield options are a lot better. So now 151, one of the premier sets of this era. and no explanation as to why. You obviously know. $10 a pack for a long time. Now it's roughly about $15 to $16 a pack. We have probably seen the last of the restocks for this one, as from the mini tins, if you can see this one right here. That was probably one of the last of the restocks. If we get anything else between now and April, it's probably just going to be stuff from warehouse getting cleaned out. Again, long term, this is probably going to be one of those sets that climbs to $50 to $60 a pack. As of right now, I'm probably going to end up reaching almost near what Evolving Skies is. I would say it's probably going to be a $20 to $30 pack at the end of this year, and then just continue to climb from there. This one, I don't really care, but these are going to be one of those popular sets that are just going to continue to rise over time because a lot of people like them. Under $10 a pack, these were going, I think, anywhere between like $20 a pack at one point. Maybe at the very beginning of release, but got up to about like $13 to $15 a pack upon release. Has dipped down quite a bit since then, almost 20% since it first released last year. It's all the heavy reprints, it's sub $10. So I still would think, if you're, again, trying to hold stuff for long term, or even just something to build up inventory for your business, whether it be online or vending, I don't think it's a bad idea. Sub $10 a pack. The biggest reason being is because people are always going to want to chase those demigod packs or the god packs, and people are going to be willing to pay $10 to $20 a pack for a very long time to try to score that hit. So I think Prismatic is going to be pretty easy long term. Obviously, going back to the Sun and Moon packs, they're going to be way more than that in no time. I think they're going to be easily $60 to $80 in a few years once it finally goes out of print. I would definitely buy quite a bit of this as it continues to be printed, because once it stops getting reprinted as heavily as it did, it's only going to continue to climb after that. Now, the only problem I have with Prismatic is that people may be hesitant to buy Prismatic because of the fact that you can weigh this one for sure. The Demigod pack and the God pack are obviously going to be way heavier than the standard pack if that doesn't have it, right? Because again, you're going to have 3 SIRs in the Demigod pack, and obviously in the God pack, you're going to have 9 SIRs, right? That's obviously going to be way heavier. Now, I doubt there's been any video of people actually weighing a God pack successfully because of how rare it is, so you'll probably be just fine. That'll probably be the only thing out of all the sets that we talked about that may be difficult to sell later down the line. You can probably still end up getting a lot of sealed items for retail price pretty easily, whether it be 10s, collection boxes, DTBs. I mean, they're printing the hell out of it, so you should be able to get at least some sealed product pretty easily. Now, moving to Destined Rivals. If we are going to say that Destined Rivals is going to be the Evolving Skies of this era, it should be a no-brainer, right? If Evolving Skies is about $35, $36 a pack, $9 here, it should be 4 times that by the time it goes nearly out of print, which is a year and a half from now, right? We started printing in 2025, 2027 is going to be done. In about a year and a half from now, it'll probably end up being $30 to $35 a pack. Obviously, that depends on where the market is at that time. Obviously, I think it's going to be more Prismatic versus Destined Rivals, but still, Destined Rivals is going to be pretty beloved overall once it goes out of print, and we look back at it several years from now. And just wanted to kind of look into Mega Evolutions too. There's not really many sets that are out, Phantasmal being the most recent. Ascended Heroes comes out later this month, but again, here's another one. $7 a booster pack, and this just released. This has 2.5 more years to print. I think anything that we talked about in Sword and Shield is going to be the way to go. Astral Radiance, Lost Origin, Brilliant Stars, Crown Zenith. Yeah, those are all a little bit higher, but per pack price and the age of them, and they're not being reprinted ever again, those I'd rather go into. So just kind of keep that in mind when you see a lot of these new sets release and you see such high prices, whether it be for ETBs, booster boxes, sleeve packs, or anything like that. If you're trying to find where to keep things long term and hold on to them, or what's going to sell in like your online store, I'm thinking about all the older stuff, because again, it's not coming back. Now, obviously the Mega Evolutions has a higher rarity for some of the cards too, so that is something to kind of look into. But again, if I'm looking at this, $7 a pack, just came out, is going to be reprinted. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's going to be reprinted for quite a while. I'd rather go for the older stuff than this. Maybe by the end of this year, I might end up buying a lot of this stuff, just because, again, if this crazy market continues, they're not going to be as open into reprinting the first Mega Evolution sets than they are focusing on the new stuff. So at that point, I may go back and look at it and see if it is something to hold on to long term at that point. But that's just where I'm thinking. All right, that's it for today. Thanks for tuning in. Let me know what you think down below about everything that we just talked about in the comments below. Are you somebody that buys loose packs as a long-term hold? And what I want to know too, are you as a buyer comfortable with buying loose packs? If so, let me know as well, because I think it's one of the best ways if you're trying to hold on to stuff at a much lower price point. Thanks again for tuning in. If you haven't already, like, subscribe, visit my store, thepokebaron.com, and I'll see you guys next time.